name is Iannielli, and I am a male to female transgender woman, and I'm doing this video. I'm going through a severe depression, and I've gone through ups and downs with my transition from male to female. One day I feel really good, and the next day I feel very depressed, isolated, alone, scared, and sometimes I don't know how to deal with it. I tried to do constructive things. Actually, I created a new Facebook page, a group page, and it seems to be pretty popular. I'm getting people that are interested in wanting to join the group, which makes me feel good. And it's really the only thing that keeps me sane sometimes. I have to find constructive ways to deal with my gender struggles, and living as a male to female transgender woman, I feel very unfulfilled, and I'm very lost with the way my transition is going. I'm very disillusioned. I am not most likely going to be able to proceed with gender reassignment surgery as I had hoped. I'm still holding on to a glimmer of hope, and I'm hoping that I will still have that relationship with Dr. Marcy Bauer's office. I initiated contact with her office, and I have been in touch with Safina and Robin, I believe her name is. But my psychiatrist and therapist refused to write letters giving me the go-ahead to get the surgery for various reasons, mostly because of my bipolar disorder, my severe depression, and my record of being in the hospital for suicide ideation history. For me, gender dysphoria and feelings of wanting to commit suicide kind of goes hand in hand. I mean, I've been struggling with my gender dysphoria since the age of 3. I didn't know at that time it was called gender dysphoria, but I knew it was very hard for me to deal with. And I turned 54. I'm in the middle of well, I'm not in a midlife crisis. I'm beyond that, actually. But you know, I have my concerns. I certainly wanted to be a woman since I was young, and I had hoped to have had transitioned earlier in my life, but luckily I was able to have somewhat of a normal life. I was able to marry it, and I have a son. He's a special kid, and you know, he has his issues. He's autistic, and I love him. He's my reason for living. And sometimes I really have to fight. And it sucks when you're going through depression and you are struggling with your inner thoughts. And you know, I've been trying to cope, and sometimes I do crazy things, and it's like I have no control, and I really don't understand why. I'm a risk taker. I am not working right now. I'm out of work. I haven't been working for about 2 years now, and it's driving me insane, basically. I don't have any structure in my life, so basically I have to try to occupy my time with my social media, and I don't know where I would be if I didn't have that. You know, I'm very involved with my Facebook and my YouTube channels, and I just created, like I was saying, a new Facebook page, actually 2 Facebook pages. I created a public figure page for Emily Iannielli, the transgender girl, and I created a group called the Transgender Girl Club, and you know, I think that's helpful. You know, my goals in you know, developing these pages is to kind of put my spin on what it's like to be male to female transgender, and share my experiences, whether it's my YouTube videos, my blog, my Pinterest page. You know, I want to, you know, share what I go through with the hope that it helps me from a self-therapeutic point of view, and also that it may benefit someone else, you know. And I think that's a positive thing. I think that we, as a community within the transgender group, must be strong and try to have hope and believe that things will get better. You know, I have resorted to stealing, and you know, it could get worse, it could be serious, but I deal with my problems by trying to escape them, and sometimes I take risks. And I don't know if people know the definition of kleptomania, but basically it's considered one of those disorders where you have this uncontrollable urge to steal. And recently, due to the fact that I've been having issues with my psychiatrist and therapist about my requests for the letters and their refusal, it started me spiraling out of control. And the things that I did years ago and I hadn't done in quite some time are starting to become a problem in my current situation. I'm struggling financially. I have problems with my mortgage. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep the house. And I wound up in the hospital on several occasions because I threatened suicide when I was on the phone with the mortgage company, and by doing so they were a third-party caller to the police. So I got myself into trouble many occasions. I have an impulsive control disorder. You know, I could be at a Target or wherever, and if I see something and I'm not able to buy it, I just have this compulsion that I may just steal it. And you know, I'm not advocating stealing. You know, I am not a perfect person, and you know, I view stealing as a sin. I'm Catholic, and I know that I certainly would be punished for that. But I also realized after doing some research why I would resort to that. And if you look, as I was saying before, kleptomania is a condition where it's a social disorder, a compulsive disorder, and it's an urge where you steal, and you're not doing it for a necessity, but there's a underlying reason why you're doing it, and basically it's for a high, so to speak. I guess it's similar to someone who takes drugs. You know, luckily I never got into that. I never did drugs. I never just drank. But you know, this issue with the stealing is not good, and you know, I don't do it a lot, but on occasion I do, and I don't feel good about doing it, and I'm scared because, you know, I could get caught, and that would certainly have ramifications. You know, who knows, I could wind up in jail, I don't know. But you know, I'm just going through a lot. I have a lot of pain and suffering. You know, my dad committed suicide. I lost my mom many years ago. She struggled with health issues, you know, and I'm pretty fucked up in my thinking, you know, being transgender. You probably are a little fucked up. You know, I'm not perfect. Look, I am a boy who wears girls' clothes. Now, what do people think of that, you know? But for me, I don't look at it that way. I'm not a boy in actuality. I'm not like that. I might have been born a boy, male, but I've always identified as a girl, female. And it was just the luck of the cards, you know? I certainly believe that in the birthing process, when a woman is pregnant, that there are hormones that are released, and you're exposed to that. And I certainly do believe, after doing some research and reading, that the brain is affected by the hormones that are released during that process, and sometimes it's inconsistent to the way the body develops. So in an instance where we're talking about, like my situation, me being male to female transgender, I was born a boy, but I was exposed to female hormones. So my brain is what is typical of a girl, but my body obviously is a male body. So the brain that I have is inconsistent to the assigned sex that I was determined at birth. So that goes into this whole issue with gender dysphoria, where you are at odds with your physical sex and how you perceive yourself. I perceive myself, and I always have, as a female, and I know for a fact, having a penis, that I am a male. That goes without question. But it doesn't stop me from dressing and living as a woman. I'm only doing what I have to do. The only other alternative, if I didn't transition, most likely would have been suicide anyway. So, you know, I don't want to go there because I have a son and I need to be there for him and raise him and, you know, do the right things. You know, I'm very down because I have so many problems. I have a mortgage that I can't even make my payments on. I'm going to have to borrow money out of my son's Social Security monies that we were intending for his college education, because that's the only way I'm going to be able to catch up. Every month I'm always running negative in my bank account, and I'm praying to God that the bank doesn't eventually just close out my account. And you know, sometimes I just want to throw up my hands and say I give up, you know. I just don't know, you know. I feel desperate at times, and you know, I try to be happy and present a bright picture of things, but the reality is it's pretty dark, you know, gloomy. You know, transitioning is part of dealing with gender dysphoria, but it's not a cure-all. You know, I certainly feel much happier. I do live 24/7 as a female. I've been on female hormones and the testosterone blocker now for for about 2.5 years, and certainly I have seen positive results. But being a transgender individual, I don't have all this kind of money. You know, it's expensive. I mean, I tried to do electrolysis on a consistent basis, and basically I do it on a pay-as-I-can basis instead. So I'm not consistent with the electrolysis. So, you know, luckily I have gotten to a point, and I have a wonderful electrologist, where my skin is much better than it once was. So I'm pleased in that regard. But I still have that irritating feel here, normally where you have the mustache, and here, so under the lip, I'm sorry, above the lip and under the lip is the problem areas. So when I touch those areas, I hate them. I can't stand that feel. It's a rough, like a sandpaper feel. And I want to have a smooth, feminine, soft feel. But aside from that, I can't complain. My skin is softer, much more feminine than it used to be. And the facial contours are much more feminine than they used to be. I have slight breast development, which, you know, I'm not ecstatic about, but it's better than having no breast development. So, you know, I have to at least feel good about that. And I feel more tranquil, and I don't have that rage of testosterone running through my body. The estradiol is the estrogen that I take. I'm self-medicating with just progesterone, because I'm trying to grow my breasts a little more, but I don't have a medical prescription. I'm self-medicating on that, but I am on the medical care for the estradiol, which I take 3 times a day, 2 milligrams 3 times a day, and that's the estrogen. And spironolactone I take 100 milligrams twice a day, and that's the testosterone blocker. Then I take some dietary pills. I'm trying to lose some weight, and I'm thinking of going on the HCG 1, 2, 3, 4 diet. And you know, I am going through a crisis, and sometimes I cry at night, wondering why I have these problems and why I feel so alone. You know, I don't want to, when I get down like this, I really don't want to talk to people. I'm actually meeting with some high school friends sometime in February, and I'm a little nervous because, you know, they seem to be open-minded about me transitioning from male to female, and they're good people, and you know, I love them. You know, I admire them as people, but I don't know how they're going to. Actually, I have had some relations with some of them, and they were very nice to me, so certainly I don't see any problems. But I'm just very nervous in general around people. I don't feel comfortable anymore. Since I lost my working structure, my life has been very it's been very peculiar. It's not like I wake up with a purpose now.
Again?
Yeah.
Always?
Yeah, I have to. It's my therapy. But you know, I miss my son terribly. Actually, I was on the phone with him before, and, you know, I cry because I just, you know, I wish things could be better, you know, and why does it have to be this way? And, you know, I don't know. And I certainly want my marriage to continue. I certainly don't want to lose my wife. If I lost my wife, I would be devastated. You know, and if I lost my son, forget it. I don't think I could survive. But, you know, I just have to fight. You know, and to be honest with you, even if I had a full surgery and transition completely, you know, I don't know if that's a cure-all. You know, I don't think that would be the cure-all to the gender dysphoria. And certainly I'd still be not working. And, you know, the one thing I'm worried about is my benefits. I'm, you know, receiving the disability income, but you know, they may make a determination that I don't qualify, and if that were the case, that would be a disaster for me, and I don't know how I could handle that. If I lost the disability, I don't think, you know, certainly I would lose my house, probably lose my wife, my son, and I don't want to think about that. I just want to find peace and happiness. You know, we all deserve that in life. I didn't ask for this burden that I carry, just like my mom didn't ask for the trouble she encountered in her life, and my dad also. He had his own crosses to bear. So I don't know. Sometimes I wonder why we have to live in pain and struggle. Like my dad battled alcoholism. I'm battling my own depression and gender dysphoria, and now I'm a shoplifter, or whatever you want to call it. And you know, I'm missing my son, and you know, I just wish things could get better. You know, I really do, and I don't know. Life is complicated, and I don't have the answers. If I had the answers, I, you know, would write a book. I don't, and I don't count myself as the one who can give advice. I'm seeking advice, you know, but I certainly can share my experiences, and you know, I think that's important. That's also part of the healing process. I always learn that if you talk out your problems, you have to recognize what's bothering you, and you have to kind of try to come to terms with it. And that's kind of the same thing with gender dysphoria. And I watched a couple of videos. Actually, today I was watching a video that I was quite impressed with. That was done by a young woman, transgender woman, who has her own family, kids, but she's going through some legal issues. I didn't know it at the time when I was watching the first video that she did on gender dysphoria, and I was quite impressed. And she looked like a young teenage girl to me, and when she was talking about, but I actually saw her in a second video that I was watching where she's trying to deal with her other problems now, and she's thinking of shutting down her channel and not having the communication with her audience now. And I was kind of trying to reach out to her because I certainly know what she's going through. I've had those feelings myself, where I just wanted to shut everything down. I've created quite a bit of social media sites because I think it's important, and I actually have had people reach out to me who are interested in learning about my background and what it's like to be in my situation. But this girl specifically, I think she's Jehovah's Witness. That's what, JWT girl, which stands for Jehovah Witness T girl. And I was concerned for her when I saw her second video, and I reached out. I gave her my email, I gave her my Facebook page, my Google Plus page, my YouTube channel, my email address, and my cell phone number. And I told her if she needs anybody to talk to, that I would be here for her, because I'm also looking for a friend to talk to. And I think we as transgender girls, transgender sisters, need to have support and to not feel alone. Sadly, we have lost some of the male to female transgender sisters as young as teenagers. Leila Alcorn is an example of tragic outcome. 17 years old, transgender girl. Parents rejected her wanting to live as a female.